Morning. On this occasion, we take pride in having these kind of sessions on holistic well-being. We are looking at, PESUniversity is looking at having these initiatives and address the subtle component which are required to support in the well-being in a holistic way. In that direction, we have very apt personality with us who is known as a medical practitioner, neurosurgeon, spiritual practitioner, putting things into practice and then helping a lot of people across the globe through his advices. May I have the privilege of inviting our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor and the guest of the day, Dr. Thimappa Hegde. Please come on the dais. I also request Dr. Hari Prasad, Dean Medical, to join on the stage. India is a great country which has supported in a holistic living and it has believed in holistic living. Okay. So what more best occasion we can find to get it started up with none other than the guest of the day, Dr. Thimappa Hegde. Before introducing, let us start the day by inviting the dignitaries on the dais to light the lamp, please. Please, sir. May I also have the privilege of inviting Dr. Rupa Madam to please come on the stage. She is Associate Managing Director of PESUniversity Institute of Medical Science and Research. Going ahead, let me have the privilege of introducing the guests on the dais. We have, before moving on to the chief guest, let me introduce our own people. We have with us Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Nagarjuna Sadineni, who is there with us, driving the campus in an enthusiastic way and then trying to make sure that everyone is getting the best experience on the campus. Along with our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, we also have our Dean, PESUniversity Hospital, Dr. Hari Prasad ji, who is responsible for administrative actions in PESUniversity Hospital. Apart from that, we have our own Dr. Rupa Suresh, who is Associate Managing Director for PESUniversity Institute of Medical Science and Research. Welcome you all, madam. Moving on, as part of the Holistic Well-Being Initiatives, which is part of the Agile Strategy, which is a concept you might have heard during orientation. Since last 2 years, this has been a part of the orientation introduced by our Pro-Chancellor, Professor D. Jawahar. So in that direction, we felt Dr. Thimappa Hegde is the right person who can give us a dimension to it in a very beautiful, integrated way. Let me have the privilege of introducing Dr. Thimappa Hegde. He is fondly known as mindful neurosurgeon. Dr. Thimappa Hegde is a distinguished neurosurgeon and is presently working as director of Narayana Institute of Neurosciences in Bangalore. He finished his neurosurgery residency from NIMHANS, Bangalore. He continued as a faculty at Department of Neurosurgery in NIMHANS till 2003, where he was instrumental in starting Stereotactic and Functional Neurosurgery department. In 2004, he founded the Narayana Institute of Neurosciences, which has now become one of the finest centers for neurology and neurosurgery, known for its service with an excellent training program. Dr. Thimappa was recognized by the Lions Club Bengaluru as an outstanding citizen and visited USA and Canada on a special exchange program from the Rotary International. He was invited by the Vatican to speak at the international meeting at the Vatican City and had a special audience with the Pope, His Holiness John Paul II. With his keen interest in spirituality and overall personality development, Dr. Hegde has scaled new heights despite having a very busy neurosurgical practice cutting across all age groups. His unique approach of connecting and establishing science, medical theory, and spirituality that are integral to holistic living. His specialized neurosurgical skills are widely sought after, especially towards stereotactic and functional neurosurgery, skull-based surgery, and stereotactic surgery in surgical field. He worked in the role of former president of Neuro Spinal Society of India. A Vedantic scholar, Dr. Hegde conducts wide variety of sessions, including connection between science and spirituality, communication and parenting, that has inspired many lives. His sessions are highly sought after and are very relevant to the uncertain times we have been living in. Okay. So I now welcome Dr. Thimappa Hegde. I request Dean Medical to please welcome him. Thank you, sir. May I have the privilege of inviting Dr. Thimappa Hegde. But before that, let me put across what PESUniversity has in place to measure the outcomes. We have something called as key performance indicators that measures the different activities on the campus. We all are aware about that spirit parameter. Maybe if you are not aware, over the period you will come to know. But what started recently in 2 years is, can there be a strategy that can self-actualize the students? Because students are bogged down by so many pressures, peer pressure, awareness problem, timing problem, discipline, management, everything will be there. Okay. So towards that, this something called as agile strategy has come. Agile, whatever you see here, they are meant for self-actualization from within. No one can help me if I want to become successful other than me itself. That's how the thought process came, and we are taking it forward in a beautiful way. And we have an exponent, Dr. Thimappa Hegde, who will be taking us through it. So may I have the privilege of inviting Dr. Thimappa Hegde on the stage, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Professor Kulkarni, Dr. Rupa, Dr. Nagarjuna, Dr. Hari Prasad, and my dear friends. These kind of initiatives happen only when the faculty and the management want to give you more than just education. Once you enter a campus like this, by the time you go out, you have to be someone who's sought out by organizations. You know, Nagarjuna was in Wipro, and one of the problems in these organizations when engineering graduates come out is majority of them, more than 70% of them, don't have the required skills that the industry wants. So this institution is now looking not only to give you the skills that you need in the field of you have, if you're the engineering field or whatever field. Additionally, you should have that confidence to be able to come up on a stage like this, to be able to communicate, to be able to have an all-round skills so that you are a sought-out person. From now on, for the next 1 hour or so, I have this great privilege of spending this time with you. Many of you are just in the beginning of your course. And when you are in the beginning, hopefully you're going to be more receptive. When you are receptive, more than my ability to give you is your ability to take, isn't it? Can a skill be taught? Can a great surgeon teach his skill to another surgeon? Can a great painter or a great musician or even a great batsman like Sachin Tendulkar teach his skills to his own son? Yes or no? To an extent, you may coach, but then more than the ability of the teacher, the ability of a skilled person to give is, you should be like Ekalavya. Who's Ekalavya? To be that kind of a student who has the ability to be able to grasp. To be able to grasp, first I would like to tell you about good listening. And ancient India has given a lot of inputs. He says there are 3 levels of listeners. Level 1 in Sanskrit is called Kutuhal. And if you have some knowledge of Sanskrit, and many of these Sanskrit words are in other languages also. And the word Kutuhal means That's right. I heard somebody say curiosity. That is a word. What is a doctor doing amongst all of you? So there could be an element of curiosity. That is level 1. Your curiosity would be fulfilled, but there is a higher level. Level 2 is called a jignasa. And what does jignasa mean? All of you are in an environment of learning. When you come here to learn, isn't it? Every student wants to learn. A jignasa is one who wants to learn. So if you have entered this auditorium, by the end of the session, 1 hour from now, let me see what is there that I can learn from this presentation, which means I keep my notepad open. More important than my notepad, keep my mind open. That's what I want you to be. One story, one idea. I don't want you to take many things, but be like a very receptive soil that will take these seeds, and if you can make that environment in your heart, one story, one idea, one thought, if you allow it to germinate in you, you have benefited from a session like this. So level 2 is called a jignasa. Patanjali, who gave this classification, he says there is third level, and I would like you to be level 3. Level 3 is called a mumukshu. What are the qualities of a mumukshu? A mumukshu is one whose mind is open, receptive, not evaluating, not judging. Not easy to be a mumukshu because our mind is constantly trained to evaluate, constantly trained to judge. And after some time, what happens? I'll be speaking, you are listening, but whether you're listening to my voice or whatever is the conversation going on in your mind. Can you see right now? I'm speaking, but each word that I speak generates a few thoughts. Sometimes I may show you a picture, but it will lead you to some thoughts, and sometimes you go from thought to thought. Now, I am the subject for you right now. Subject means something that is in front of you. You are, I am the object. I am the object of your attention, and you are the subject. Now, I want you to see what is happening in your mind. See, the mind is a supercomputer, and the mind is able to get some information. There is nothing more advanced in the whole of creation than what is there in our mind. So therefore, the mind has the ability to be a useful servant to get you information, or the mind can parallelly do some work. The mind can be parallelly thinking, oh, what next I have to do, after that what I should do, or why did I do this, one thought to another. And if you are listening to your own listening, you're not here, you have missed your time. So right in the beginning, I want you to ask, if you have entered PES campus, and if you want to leave from here, the moment you enter, ask yourself, am I going to be in real time when I'm bodily and mind here, or am I in psychological time? That means I'm physically here, but my mind is somewhere else. The mind can wander. So one discipline whenever you are in your classes, so teachers will do all sorts of tricks. They'll put your slides, they will ask you questions to help you to be with yourself. But then when the time goes on, after some time, the mind drifts off. So you make your own sort of correction. Ask yourself, I will do a short exercise with you. Now there are no sounds. I will want some silence there, please. When there is no sounds, can you listen to the silence? I want you to be sensitive. Between words, there is a silence, which means I am the observer of the words. I am the observer of the silence also. If you can be that level of listener, that is a very powerful listening. Towards the end, I will have a little bit of interaction. But if this exercise that you have done, you're watching my hand, now move from my hand to your mind and be your observer of your mind. And every interaction that you have, more than I would say, what is happening in my mind? Can you do that exercise? Can you see how you can be in the mind? I had an opportunity to be to the other PES campus, and I interacted with students like you. And the feedback I got is, for various reasons, many of you are going through a lot of stress. And I said, in addition to being a holistic development, let us look at some techniques of how we can cope with stress. I am not too far from you. My hospital is just a short distance from here. Short distance means it is about 10 minutes drive along the same road. This is the heart hospital of Narayana Institute, but there are multiple buildings, just like you have so many buildings. Now, one of the reasons I put this picture is you see a picture of a brain, and then you see a skull, if I can show. Yeah, okay, I'm not sure. This is a LED screen, so it won't be seen. But there is a fracture in the bone, and inside that there is a large clot within the head. Now, those of you who are using two-wheelers, my recommendation is, always wear a crash helmet, because this is one of the most valuable things we ever have. Skull fractures become very less in low speed velocities. Low velocity, you don't have a skull fracture. And most of the city traffic is not high velocity, not like a highway, like in the expressway is extremely dangerous. And I would never recommend you to use your two-wheelers on the expressway, because it is extremely narrow. And when the road was first started, one of the first casualties was one of my neurosurgeons working with me. And I saw him, my car overtook him, he was on a two-wheeler. And then I reached hospital, he had not reached. And I called up, somebody else picked up the phone. And then I told him this, they said there was an accident. I said, can you bring him here? He's a doctor working with us. And then the message I got was, sir, spot out. We lost a brilliant neurosurgeon on that elevated road. I'm just putting these not to frighten you, but to say that, these are something so precious. So during your commute, or sometimes when you're excited or when you're in a hurry, don't be in such a hurry that you're going to risk your body. My hospital is, you have a great hospital here. I've seen the hospital here. But you should be not patients in that place, all right? If your family members have got any problems, you bring them here. But take care of yourself that you don't have any such situations where there is a clot in the head. Now, I've just put this picture for one important reason. The skull has had a fracture. There is a large clot within the head. You will see it is compressing the brain. In such injuries, the injury is not so severe to cause the death, but that clot which becomes bigger and bigger can cause the death of a person. I put this to say nowhere else in the body is a clot in the skull. In the skull, a clot is more serious because what is supposed to protect the brain, that is the skull, can be the responsible for the death of a person, because it will not allow more pressure. So what we need to do is, and we have a hospital here, once you do a scan, immediately you know where is the clot. Then we do drill holes. We can see small drill holes with high-speed motor drills. The skull is cut open like a, with these tools, like a window, if you can see on the bottom. The moment the skull is opened, the emergency is over, a life has been saved. Now, this is the job of a neurosurgeon. And sometimes we have more complex work like this. You see a boy has come from Bangladesh. A lot of his brain is sitting in between his nose. Now, he requires a complex operation not only to cover that defect, but make him look like a normal boy. Children, if one eye looks this way and one eye look that way, they call them names. So we have to do a corrective surgery. This will be some 16-hour operation. And the families entrust their children. This is the kind of responsibility that we have. Now, I'm not going in for medical purposes. My objective is something else. I just showed you a few slides and I spoke to you about accidents and the problem of accidents. Now, I want you to reflect on your mind. Keep your eyes closed for a moment. Having seen some of these slides, what is that message that will come to you? Because the group is so big, I will not be able to address you. You can open your eyes. One message that you will get, see, you have a hospital close by. You will see, compared to all those people, you can open your eyes, how lucky I am. You know, when we have good health, we take our health for granted. Only when you have a toothache, you remember you have teeth. Only when you have a headache, you remember you have a head. Only when some part of your body is afflicted, you realize that you have that part of the body. When Steve Jobs was told that he had a pancreatic cancer, his first reaction was, I did not even know I had a pancreas. All of you are young, you are like new cars going silently. And as we get older, then you have to climb up the steps. You know, every joint will hurt. And you know how many parts are there in your body. Now, when you are young, you need to celebrate the fact how lucky I am. Not just that, the next thing is, can I make the most of my life? Yes? Louder, shall I listen to that yes from all of you? Yes. You know, I'm gifted with health. I'm not only gifted, my parents have supported my education till now and are willing to support. You had a choice of so many institutions. Certainly, you see the kind of infrastructure. The infrastructure gives you an idea of the external. Then you have, accordingly, you have the faculty and the commitment. The fact that they arrange programs like you are here to see that you have the best form of growth for yourself. Ultimately, you know, this is what teachers and management can do. Allow you to grow to your fullest. All your talents. You have playgrounds. You know, when you are here, I want you to see how you can develop yourself multidimensionally. And that is possible if you have a quiet mind and a stress-free mind. All of us go through stress. But I want you to gather certain skills where you should be able to enjoy the stress of being a student. You are under pressure. But when you are under pressure, either you can curse it or you can relish it, isn't it? Sometimes you drive very fast. When you drive very fast, don't you enjoy that? You take risks, but you enjoy that dangers, because in your danger, there is a certain amount of excitement. So what is stressful for somebody can be, you can learn to enjoy your stressful situation. Health is such a great asset, and therefore, make one commitment to see how you will take care of your health. And finally, while you are here, even during this talk, very rarely you get time like this for yourself. Remember, this lecture is only a byproduct. While you are seated on your chair, I want you to see how I can use all the infrastructure available, my faculty, my facilities, more importantly, how I will grow to be to my fullest potential. So these are the things I would like to take. You know, sometimes when you are in these quiet moments, only recently I went to the PESUniversity across the nice road. And from there I could see the number of buildings that have come up. Every creation happens twice. Even this facility, because I come on the elevated road and I can see all the buildings coming up. Every creation happens twice. First, in somebody's mind. Some time ago, just a few years ago, this was just an empty, green, vast land. Now, in somebody's mind, an idea came that the university should be like this, the medical college should be here, the hospital should be here, the engineering college should be here, the management institutions should be here. So every creation happens twice. Why am I talking about this? It is true about you also. What happens 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down, the seed for it happens now, while you are here, perhaps even while you are sitting in this class. what I want to be. Stephen Covey, this is a great book, and all these are available online. People have done a lot of research and made it in an easily digestible form. I want you to Google 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey and look at habit number 2. Habit number 2, he says, is called begin with the end in mind. So first note down the name, Stephen Covey, and maybe once I go back, I will, send you some of these key points so that you don't have to waste your time trying to note down. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind is, I want you to look ahead 20 years, 30 years, 40 years down the line. What kind of a person I would like to be? What kind of skills I would like to acquire? Because that is what is going to determine. And the seed for all that happens here. What kind of a mindset? I want you to have a grateful mindset. I want you to be, happy people are highly accomplished people. So the shortcut to happiness is gratefulness. One question I'll ask you. Can you be grateful and miserable at the same time? Yes or no? You cannot be. You cannot be grateful and miserable. Every Monday morning when you get up, when you think of all the things that you have to do. But on the other hand, if you wake up and say, how lucky I am, I have another opportunity to gather all these skills, you will jump out of bed. You see, children normally, on the weekdays, parents have to wake them up. But on weekends, automatically they get up early because they have a certain excitement. This is an attitudinal shift. So even the stress that I go through, if you are grateful, is there somebody who can come here and read one slide for me? Anybody who will jump and come running? Come. This is something very beautiful. Read this for me.
Drinking from my saucer. I have never made a fortune, and it's probably too late now. But I don't worry about the much. I'm happy anyhow. And as I go along life's way, I'm reaping better than I sowed. I'm drinking from my saucer, 'cause my cup has overflowed.
I deliberately gave a little pause on this so that you can reflect on this. And I want you to make this a message for your life. As I go along life's ways, I'm reaping better than I sowed. I'm drinking from my saucer because my cup has overflowed. And this is possible when you have a grateful heart. Whenever you feel grateful, you say how I can fulfill my debts. And a great... in our Indian Shastras, in our Indian scriptures, it is said, all of us have got 3 debts or 3 rinas. They are called Pitra Rina, Loka Rina, and Acharya Rina. Pitra Rina is a debt to our parents. Certainly, nobody has contributed more to us than our parents. And you know certainly that it is impossible to repay what your parents have done for you, isn't it? The amount of effort and time they have given you. So a teacher will tell you how you can fulfill Pitra Rina. Second is my debt to my community. And third and most importantly, the obligations I have for myself, which is called Acharya Rina. How do you fulfill Pitra Rina? If you live your life in such a way that others are able to say, so lucky your parents are that they have a daughter or a son like you, you fulfill Pitra Rina. Isn't it? So therefore, keep that picture in mind. What brings great joy to your parents is that you are happy, you are successful, you are accomplished. And I want you to bring that. Whenever somebody is accomplished, the first thing is, where is he from? From which college he's come? Who are his parents? These things come. And these things, one method is, in your own way, if I can bring joy to my parents by Keep your parents in your mind all the time. And our tradition tells us to revere our parents. Can you repeat after me? Yes? Louder? Say yes. Repeat. Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. Now, these are some things from our ancient Indian tradition which we need to inculcate and remind ourselves again. That means I will treat my mother and my father and my teachers with reverence as I teach them as Pratyaksha Devata, as living gods for me. And if I have that kind of reverence, it becomes easy to learn from your teachers. See, this is a stage of your life when there is a very strange love-hate relationship between your parents. In a way, you have become adults. You have certain requirements, but in a way, you still are at the mercy of your parents because you are financially dependent on your parents. And whenever you are dependent on somebody and you have an independent mind and you feel some form of infringement that happens, there can be an inner conflict that happens. So I want you to say, give some more time. Today, by the time we start earning, it will be quite late in life. But still in your own way, I want you to see that these are some of the conflicts that come when you feel a sense of infringement. Later on, if you want, I will have a little discussion with you. How is it that you can keep your parents happy even though you don't agree with your parents? Isn't it? Sometimes you may have to agree to disagree. Your parents may have some different ideas for you, but at the same time, it is your life. And therefore, what you want is also important. And you want also to be in terms with your parents. I will give you one clue right away because I'm not sure if this topic will come again. Very important, whenever there is some disagreement between you and your parents, parents have a feeling that my child does not love me. Especially when you become financially independent and you can take decisions and don't agree with what your parents say. Now, of course, you're still dependent and there is a tendency that you are forced to agree. But supposing there is something where you have a disagreement with your parents, it is your life and therefore you need to work on what is important for you. But I want you to be good communicators. And what are you going to communicate to your papa or mama? See, although I may not agree with you, I still care for you. I love you. And if this communication comes very clearly, that just because I do not agree, I still care. It takes some time for parents to be able to give you the freedom that you require. And you have to show them that you are responsible when you have that freedom. Because parents tend to be very possessive. Second is our community, Lokarina. And how do you do that? Difficult now, because now you are in the stage of consumption. But later on, I want you to see how you can give more to the community than what you have got. That is debt number 2. And third and most important debt, I will touch on this again. So how do you do, parents? To my alma mater, to my school, my educational institution, I bring glory to my town, my city, my country. And then Lokarina, to my community, contribute, to give more than I have received. Finally, the most difficult one is called the Acharya Rina. What is the great joy for your teachers if you grow to your fullest potential? Few things I want you to remember. There are, I do not know how many numbers I hear, maybe 1,000 of you or 500, 600, so many people sitting here. Each one is unique. I want you to remember. There is nobody else in the planet just like you. Whoever has created you has brought you unique with different styles, different interests, different inclinations, which means you have some role to play which nobody else can do. You are unique. Never consider yourself to be ordinary because there are many students. All right? I may look ordinary, I may seem ordinary, but within this ordinary body mind of me, there is something of the extraordinary. See that something extraordinary. By extraordinary, I do not mean that you have to, It is not egoistic extraordinary. I'll come to that ego later. My body and mind is limited, but I, the one who's listening, the one who's using this body-mind, is clearly limitless. And this you will discover when you are inspired. I want you to see how you can grow to your fullest potential. Can I have a little test for you? Because I do not know how many minutes I've been speaking, and sometimes all that... Can you keep your hands in front of you a little so that I can see your hands? Watch me very closely. I want to see your hands. Raise a little. All right. Okay, are you going to follow the instructions? My instruction is very simple. A loud clap at the count of 5. And be very alert. I'm going very quickly. Okay, including those at the back. A loud clap at the count of 5. Be alert. I'm going very quickly. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You have passed. My question for you is, are we more likely to follow instructions or are we more likely to follow actions? Isn't it? That is why I said, you see that title says, private victory precedes public victory. Which means, once I become the master of myself, only then I have the capability of being a leader. And therefore, when you are here in PS, I want you to see how you can master yourself. Understand your own mind. There are moments when you get angry, when you get upset, to be able to see how you will handle all that. One more person. Will the same person come and read for me? Patanjali on inspiration. Take some time. Each of these words are important because I want you to be inspired people. Because when you are inspired, you discover that you are not ordinary. Come.
Patanjali on inspiration. When you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, your mind transcends limitations, your consciousness expands in every direction. Dormant forces, faculties and talents become alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamed yourself to be. Patanjali, 5,000 years ago in Yoga Sutras.
Thank you very much. These are words I want you to reflect on it every day, because when you are inspired, and what is the great purpose? I'm here to discover myself. The person who came and spoke to me told me I'm not ordinary. I'm saying it with 100% conviction. You are extraordinary. The person who came today spoke and told me that I'm not a limited person. My body and mind are limited, but within me there is a force which is limitless. And therefore, because of my limitlessness, I can be a great source of contribution to myself first, to my family, to my organization, to my country. Now, what is inspired living? Few things. Life is in living. Living where? With zeal, with enthusiasm, being very alert, very sensitive. Are you aware of the chair you're seated on? Your backrest, where you're keeping your hands? Can you take a deep breath? Hold your breath for a while. Breathe out. Again, hold. Be so sensitive to this body. As I said, this body and mind are a great gift. I am the indweller of my body and mind. I am the one who uses my body all the time. I am speaking. I want you to listen to what is happening in your mind. Sometimes you might agree, sometimes you may not agree. Let there be sometimes a disagreement. You know, how can you say that I am extraordinary? You have no idea of what I'm going through in my life. Maybe there is an internal conversation. But I just want you to be watchful. Because whatever I've said is true for you, even though it may not be your experience. So the skill now is to be here, to be now, and to be you, not anybody else. You have role models, but to be you, because there is nobody else like you. Live in this moment 100%, watching your mind, but don't get involved in your mind. If your mind is depressed for some reason, watch, my mind is depressed, but I'm okay. I'm watching a depressed mind. If your mind is sad, watch your sad mind and tell my mind is going through some sadness. Give me some time, I'll be okay. So this is the real challenge, to be in real time. And nobody else can teach you this. There is no skill. It's just you have to be. There's a nursery rhyme that goes like this, and I want you to answer those nursery rhyme questions. The time to be happy is now. The place to be happy is here. The way to be happy is, there is no way to be happy. Just be happy. You've seen the Nike sign? There's nothing to do. Just be happy. And to create a heaven right here. I want you to repeat after me. The time to be happy is, the place to be happy is, the way to be happy is, just be happy and create a heaven right here. Now, every day when you come to college, I want you to see what is that something new I have learned today. Because you will learn newer and newer skills. In addition to whatever you learn, see how you can get some skills. And thanks to Agile and all the programs that are given here, you will learn certain health tips, exercise tips, work on physical fitness. Your body should be like, 100% fighting fit. Today, whenever one of our doctors are trained from here and go abroad, they have a rigorous question answer, not only with the person, but with the teacher. They will ask me, what kind of skills he has. Is he a good surgeon? Is he a good person? How does he interact with patients? How does he interact with doctors? And one of the skills they ask is, even for doctors, what is the level of computer skills he's got? And because even doctors have to handle the computers for everything, even in our office, in the operating rooms. Now today we have robotics in surgery. And really, the surgeons even in our hospital in Narayana, the patient will be there will be a nurse, and there will be an assistant doctor. The main surgeon is sitting outside on his console and working on the joystick or on the mouse. This whole surgery is done by the robo. And the surgeon is only controlling. Therefore, a lot of computer skills. Now, many of you are very good in learning how to use YouTube. You learn how to use Google, now ChatGPT and so on. Learn how, instead of blindly surfing the net, see what is that I can learn. Supposing you have made mistakes, supposing you got angry and upset, see what you can learn from yourself. There is a nice formula to say how I can be a winner always. When you win, you win. When you lose, you learn, and therefore you win. So even in my defeat, if you can say, I can learn. Learn to accept yourself. See, you will always find people who are more beautiful, who are more brilliant, who are more expressive, who seem to have, in so much way, the others seem to be more blessed. And sometimes you feel, why is God not so generous with me? Let those thoughts not come. We have to learn to accept myself as I am. Because once you stop that inner fighting, then we have to learn to say no. More importantly, learn to accept a no. Because when you know how to accept a no, then you are able to go ahead in life. Otherwise, if you are afraid to ask because a person may say no, you can't progress. All this happens because of our ego. What is this ego? We have an idea how I should be treated. And because of that, you feel very easily insulted. I want you to repeat a certain indicator of my ego. How do you know you have an ego? Whenever you are hurt or whenever you are upset. Hurt means when you get upset, you get angry. Hurt means because the person is somebody senior to me, I can't show my anger, but internally I feel bad. Can you repeat these words because they are important? hurt or upset, please repeat, whether justified or not, is always self-damaging. Now, we can be our worst enemies, and therefore, see how you can work on minimizing your ego. And what are the other indicators of the ego? There is no need to prove anything to anybody. Because if you are able to accept yourself, now you're not going around and asking for feedback. Because you know when you have done well, when you have not done well. So you don't have to prove anything to anybody. Second is, don't expect happiness from others. On the other hand, manifest happiness. Because I know I want you to be a distributor of happiness. Very importantly, not to compare. This is a nice formula for you. When you compare yourself with others, you will become vain and bitter, for there will always be greater and lesser persons in some way than yourself. I want you to repeat after me. No one is superior to me. No one is inferior to me. I am what I am. With greater zeal, please repeat after me. No one is superior to me. No one is inferior to me. I am what I am. Watch this couple sitting on a roller coaster. The man seems to be enjoying himself. The woman has an expression, never again I'm going to sit on it. Have you seen that? Both of them are in the same situation. One is enjoying himself, the other is not doing so. What is the difference? Think. The difference is only the attitude. And this session should change our attitude. The way you look at yourself. Until now, if you've been saying how unlucky I am, now you should say how lucky I am. Until now, if you've been saying life is not fair, you should say life is fair. So avoid negative, pessimistic, superstitious attitudes. Never say, I am unlucky, I must have done something wrong, life is not fair. On the other hand, count your blessings. You remember that? I'm drinking from my saucer. How lucky I am. When you go to a doctor's clinic and you see children in a doctor's clinic, they cry more before the injection or after the injection. Did you know that the anticipation of pain can be more painful than the pain itself? So too, somebody had said, see, we go through a lot of stress in our life. One famous English author, I don't get his name, he said, I've had a lot of stresses in my life. Some of them actually happened. Which means most of them don't happen. Unnecessary in your mind, you suffer it. What do you think this lady is going through? And this is a problem sometimes we may be encountering. See, it could happen to you. You might have left your homes, you've come to your hostel, you're staying alone. You may be missing your parents, you may be missing your family. You have been used to staying in a different kind of environment. Now the environment is different. Sometimes you experience loneliness. There are two words where just an attitudinal shift makes so much of a difference. One word is called loneliness, which means without him, without her, my life is empty. The other one is called aloneness, all one. I am with myself. I am complete. I am fulfilled just by myself. If others are there, good. If nobody is there, can you repeat after me? And this requires a lot of courage to say that. Even if nobody is there in any situation, I celebrate myself. I want you to learn how you can celebrate just being with yourself. Then there is no question of loneliness. In your life, many people will come into your life and many people will leave you also. You will make friends and many of your close friends will leave you. And when your close friends leave you, sometimes just like you have left your home and come, new environment, new college, you're still yet to settle down, there is a feeling of emptiness that can happen. And that happens when I don't know myself. I'm not full myself. So I spoke to you about loneliness and about aloneness. See, these are skills you have to determine that I'm going to be happy with myself. I'm not going to depend on anybody else for my fulfillment. Why is he crying? See, this is the father of the bride, not the husband. I put this for one reason. Whenever you love somebody, see, for a father, there are so many girls here. See, when you are getting married, your parents look for somebody. I mean, all along, your parents will be looking that your daughter should be happily settled. They will look for somebody who's going to be your future husband. But the moment the father has to give away his daughter, there is always a feeling of sadness that comes. Now, I want you to understand something about love. There are two things. All of us value love. When there is love in your life, you are happy, you're complete. When there is no love, there is a sense of incompletion. Now, there is something else we value, and that is called freedom. Freedom is, I'm free, I don't have to ask anybody for anything. Now, when it comes to the domain of love, you're still too young, I do not know, but whenever you relate to somebody in the space of love, consciously or unconsciously, what gets infringed? Your freedom gets infringed. And then there will be a dilemma, is love more important or is freedom more important? Now, let me ask you one question. Is love a higher value for you or is freedom a higher value? Which means, because of the person whom I love that person so dearly, I'm willing to give up my freedom for that person's sake, or my freedom is so important that when it comes to crunch, I'm willing to give up the other person for the sake of freedom. Which is more important? Both are more important, but which is more important? You will realize whenever, you will see with your own parents, when your parents are very loving and if they infringe you, however much you love your parents, you feel you want to escape from this imprisonment. Which means, whenever you relate to in people with the space of love, the true index of your relationship is how much freedom you give the other person. And remember, this is only one way. You can give freedom. If the other person does not give freedom, you cannot demand. You have to understand. Or this is all called inside-out approach. But you have to understand this much. All of us value love. All of us value freedom. Which is a higher value? Which is a higher value? Can I hear it? Freedom is a higher value. That means if you really love somebody, the greatest gift you give that person is freedom. To what extent? Even to go away from you. Because you can't hold, you can't bind another person. Human beings are not objects. And if you think human beings are objects that you can bind by some means, then we have all kinds of relationship problems. All right, we are coming to the end. After some time, we will have a little bit of an exercise and some question-answer session. I will read this for you. This is called the aeroplane view. What is this aeroplane view? Putting stressful situations in a proper perspective helps, because the vast majority of things that tax one's mental and physical health today will be inconsequential or forgotten a few years, if not the next day. See, whenever we have a problem, we think that the whole world has come to an end. But you have gone through so many problems. So that means an aeroplane view is, see, keep yourself away from the problem. Very recently, a few days ago, I was in the changing room and I was about to go to the operating room. Suddenly from somewhere, some fragment entered my eye. You might have experienced, if a foreign body enters your eye, the irritation is so much that I had to go to the operating room, and fortunately other doctors were there. I told them, there's something gone into my eye. They said, yes, yes. And then somebody took a whiff of cotton, moistened it, and took it out. And when they showed it to me, it was so tiny. Such a small thing, when it comes very close to you, it can disturb you. That means if you keep the problem very close to you, it becomes very big. When Lakshman had a serious head injury, and he was unconscious in the battlefield in the Ramayana war, Hanuman was engaged with a project to bring Sanjeevani from the Himalayas. He had a jet, personal driven jet with a GPS. They said, go to this place, bring Sanjeevani and come. He went there, and he saw so many trees, and he did not know which one. Of course, he didn't have a communicating device like a WhatsApp and say which tree. He could not do a photograph and send. He had to take a decision there and then. Now, because he didn't want to make a mistake, he wanted to bring the correct tree. Now, what did he do? His only choice was to take that entire mountain with all the trees. Now, the mountain is so big and he's so small. So what does Hanuman do? When the problem is there and you are here and the problem seems so big, the problem will be the same, but you can mentally become so big that the problem becomes small for you. So this is how you have to handle decisions. Don't let the problem become too big by bringing it too close to you. Keep the problem away, away, away from you. When you keep the problem away, you become bigger than the problem. And a time comes when the problem can be in the palm of your hand, you can handle it. So learn your own skills to see how you can handle all these things. Now, as part of wellness, remember, diet, exercise, sleep, smoking. If I should add one more thing about substance abuse, which can be extremely damaging to this precious human life. So, the body that is physically stressed because of sedentary living, poor eating habits, is more likely to buckle under the additional weight of mental stress. See, these are common sense, but it is not common practice. Eat good, wholesome food, avoid smoking, alcohol, and drugs. Maintain a healthy life schedule and a regular lifestyle. I can't say more than this, but I can only inspire you that smoking, drugs, and to some extent, maybe alcohol. Social drinking is possible, but then you're still very young. I don't want you to expose yourself to something which has a tendency to dominate you. What else? Games and exercises. Bring some form of exercise every day. Exercise is one of the best stress reducers. It provides a distraction, creates a natural high by increasing the secretion of certain bodily chemicals called endorphins, enkephalins, and it suppresses the stress response. Choose an exercise game. Yoga is a very useful because it not only brings in fitness, it brings in flexibility also. Yoga brings a flexible body and you have a flexible mind also. Time management for students, extremely important. So this is again from Stephen Covey. If you have some discussion time, I will touch it. But more importantly, you have to plan your whole life. The whole time management by Stephen Covey is not going by the clock. It is going by the compass. What is important for me? What is important should be done. What is not important, you keep that out. You know, as a student, you will have many things to do, but you have to see what is really important for me. Now, all of you may have certain interests. Now, as a student, you may not get much time to pursue your interests. But in some way, wherever you get some time, see that, these interests must be nurtured because it will help you to become a holistic person. Sometimes this is a student center. There are so many student facilities available. See what are those talents that you can develop and how you can grow multidimensionally. Finally, this is a story, and a story I love very much. This is my last story, and after that we'll have a few minutes for discussion. And I will do a short relaxation technique also, which I would like you to do every day. You know Sant Kabir, he was a great poet. And one day Kabir went in search of God. And he went to Kaaba, he could not find. He went to Kailash. So in his nice dohas, he said, I went to Kaaba, I went to Kailash, I could not find. And in desperation, he decided, I went everywhere, I'm not going to find God, but let me follow certain qualities which I think are God-like qualities. And all these I've tried to bring out in this talk. What are the things? One is being very aware. Are you aware that you're seated on the chair? Are you aware that you're feeling a little tired after this long lecture? Be aware of whatever is going on in your body. You must be hungry also, or you're thirsty. Be aware of all your bodily sensations. Be very alert aware. Are you silent? Not externally. Externally, I know you are silent. Ask yourself, internally, are you silent? There are thoughts going on, but between thoughts there is a gap. Feel that gap. Learn internal silence. More than not speaking to others, learn not to speak to yourself. That is a greater challenge, and this is true internal silence. I want you to learn to be more and more loving. Loving means to be able to identify yourself with the other person. And finally, as I said, if you look at the facilities around, you will have so many student-friendly facilities, sport facilities. I want you to make your life a form of a celebration. Every day before you sleep, play some games, whatever you can do to see how you can. And finally, this is a nice message. Whenever I meet people, there are 2 words which are very precious to me. And right in the beginning of your program, I would like to give you these 2 words. And the first word is called thanks, and the second word is called yes. I want you to remember these 2 words, thanks and yes. And this has been given by the former Nobel Prize winner. He was the Secretary General of the United Nations. I think his name is Dag Hammarskjöld. He was a source of inspiration for none other than John F. Kennedy. And the 2 words are thanks and yes. For all that has happened in my life until now, especially those difficult moments in my life. It's not easy, but I want you to say thank you. And what is going to happen in future, I do not know. I'm ready to say yes. Thank you very much.
That was very inspiring. Let's keep the session open. Any questions, any queries from the student side? Let's break the silence. Anybody? The distinguished speaker is here to take up some questions.
If you want to write and give it to me is also okay, in case you are hesitant to ask a particular question. You can ask anything. Are you sure? Do you mean what you say? Like that. Whatever. You can write and give it to me. But those of you who want to raise your hands, and please, we'll have a question from you, madam.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Rupa. My question is, you told at one point that we have to be self-aware of ourselves all the time. Be your best friend, celebrate yourself. And later on you gave the concept that we have to maintain an inner silence. So, in between our thoughts. So how do you connect the 2?
All right. These are only seemingly contradictory. What is most important, most of the time, is to not have any thoughts. I'm speaking to you. Sometimes my mind says, let me generate some thoughts to answer your question. See, if I can be 100% with you at this moment, from nowhere answers will come. When you attend a marriage, during the climax of the marriage, when they are exchanging the garlands or something, what happens to the music band? It goes into a crescendo, louder and louder. In the temple, when you go, when the most important time of Aarati, Then you have bells, bells, bells ringing. Can you pray at that time? You know why our tradition has done all that? Our tradition has done all that because, see, a marriage, they say, is a very significant moment. And during that important time, nobody should harbor a negative thought. And for that, they increase the noise so much, there should be no thoughts. Now, when you go to the temple also, I will tell you straight away, when you go to the temple, don't go to pray. Temple is not the place to pray. You can pray from anywhere, you can pray from your home. You whatever you want when you wake up in the morning, do that prayer time. But if you go to the temple, you experience the ambience, the environment, the silence, the noise, the presence. You know, if you can get a darshan for a moment also, that much, the waiting period, just experience. See, temples and places of worship have been chosen in such a way that there is some energy field in those places. Therefore, most of the time, you have to be silent. If you see this Kabir's 4 things, to be aware, to be silent, to be loving and celebrative, any one of them is all of them. Whenever you are silent, you are more aware because you have no other disturbing thoughts. Right now, I know where my hand is, where this hand is. Although I'm speaking to you, the more silent I am, I'm more aware. And when you are more aware, I'll show you one nice video. Just watch this video. More important than, more is being silent. And when you are silent, somewhere the answers will come. Sometimes when you are visiting people, let's say, I have difficulty in visiting people if they have had a bereavement. I don't know what to say. Don't worry about what to say. Just be.
Charlie! Charlie bit me! Ah! Ah! Oh! Ouch! Ouch! Ouch, Charlie! Ow! Charlie! That really hurt! No, Charlie bit me. And that really hurt, Charlie, and it's still hurting.
All right, all of you have seen that video. A little bit of entertainment. I want you to go back in your mind. All right? And see what is that message you got from that video. You will say that older brother made a mistake, he put his hand and therefore he better get punished. One ordinary way. I want you to see what's something extraordinary you can pick up. See, when he put his hand in that little boy, he didn't expect him to bite him so hard. And when he bit him, his left hand was there. He could have given him one slap and made him cry and pull his hand out. He didn't do that. Why? My brother. When it is my brother, you identify yourself with that fellow. Now, just like you love yourself, you love your brother also. So even if it is hurt, sometimes your own teeth bites your own tongue. Have you had that experience? Or your lip? Your own teeth has bitten your lip. And whom can you complain to? Will you tell your teeth, you are terrible, I'll take you to a dentist and put a high-speed drill on you? You won't do that because the teeth is you, the tongue is you. When you see differences, but you do not differentiate. He is able to see differences, but he does not differentiate. What is love? When you see differences, you are other. Like a mother and a child does not differentiate. But can you extend that love? True love is when you see differences, but you do not differentiate. All right.
That's a great correlation. Anyone else? I think we'll take it offline also. Thank you very much, sir.